Welcome to another Consciousness Revolution show live from the RSC studios in London's Docklands. My name is Harun Rabbani and I am your host for tonight. And this show, what can I say, it's been listened to by people from all over the world, not just the UK, but from the United States, India, South Africa, actually all over Africa, Europe, Asia, you name it, they're listening to it. The only people who aren't listening are probably penguins. Anyway, once again, we're joined by an expert who will share the kind of knowledge with us that will truly awaken the spirit from within, because there is hope, believe you me. Now, have you ever had the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the information that we're fed with at school, through the government and through the media, may not be the whole truth? In fact, could we be bold enough to say that much of the information are actually pure lies? I wonder. Now, from early childhood, I've had a fascination with the history of the world. I've loved reading and learning about kings and queens, prophets and messengers, leaders and those who have excelled beyond their own life and made a massive difference to the lives of others. Even in recent years, people like Nelson Mandela, still alive, Gandhi, people like Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King, and going back, even Genghis Khan. But then one day it dawned on me, history couldn't have been written by those who perished and those who lost battles, or by those who were oppressed. There is no doubt in my mind history is a one-sided affair. Today, in the information age, the truth is much more complicated and much more convoluted. Thank God for the highly, highly curious investigators like our guests on the Consciousness Revolution show. Now, on this program, we've had scientists, metaphysicists, therapists, and other experts in human consciousness. Now, as far as I'm concerned, though, it is time to raise our game. You see, there are three levels of human awakenedness amongst us humans. First of all, there are those who are asleep even when they're physically awake. Then, secondly, there are those who are prepared to open their eyes to the possibility that they are more powerful than they've been led to believe, because maybe lots of their friends are doing it, lots of people around them are doing it. And finally, there are those who are open to the possibilities that may shatter all their previously held beliefs, every single one of them. Tonight, we're going to go and step into that third realm of possibility. Before I tell you about our guest, take a moment to take a deep breath and ask yourself this question. What is the intention for you on listening to this show today? If it's more than education, then do this. Make notes on what you're about to hear. I don't care if you type it directly into your computer or write it onto your notepad or even scribble it on the back of your arm. Doing nothing is not an option. My friends, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. Use this opportunity to ask the questions, and not just any question, the best questions you can think of, and put it to our guest. Simply type your question into the bottom left-hand side of your screen and then bring it across to me, and I will put it to our guest. Now back to the program. On today's show, we're joined by Ian R. Crane. Now this is a man I've been watching with fascination on television as well as on YouTube for a number of years. He's been sharing the findings of his many investigations into the hidden agenda of organizations that seek to manipulate, deceive, and control us. Ian used to work as an executive in the oil and telecommunications industry. He's also the chair of Alternative View conferences, which brings other world-class experts and scientists who reveal the truth behind the agenda of government, big companies, big pharmaceuticals, the banks, as well as the energy sector, and much, much more. Welcome to the Consciousness Revolution show, Ian.
Harun, thanks very much for the invitation. Harun, it's a pleasure to be with you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Now, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Ian, because I know you've got a very busy schedule, and each time I contact you, you seem to be flying around different parts of the world. So thank you very much for sharing your discoveries with us in advance, and also I thank you on behalf of our listeners. Now, some people, Ian, will be familiar with the work that you've been doing. However, there are one or two individuals amongst the 6.7 billion people on the planet who may not have heard of you or your work. Now, would you care to share with our listeners the work you've been doing prior to leaving industry, in the oil and telecommunications industries?
Oh, sure. Basically, I was working with a company called Schlumberger, which is an oilfield services company. It's effectively a company very similar in many respects to Halliburton. It's a major competitor of Halliburton, but it's not an American company. It's a truly transnational company, so it operates pretty much anywhere around the world, including those countries where Halliburton officially can't because of U.S. sanctions. But I joined the company at a very young age. I was 23 when I joined Schlumberger, and my career with them took me to Paris. I worked in the headquarters in Paris on 2 occasions. I worked in the Middle East, which I'll tell you a little more about in a second, because I was one of the first civilians to go into Kuwait at the end of the first Gulf War in 1991.
Oh, right.
And then I moved to Houston, Texas, where I was based for nearly 4 years. And it was whilst in Houston, actually, that I took the decision at the ripe old age of 41 that, my time in the oil industry and indeed probably the corporate world was coming to an end. And, because I wanted to explore other aspects of life, as it were. But I did get suckered back into the corporate world by a company called Lucent Telecoms. And I was there during the course of the dot-com bubble and it bursting. And 6 months later, in the middle of 2000, then I took the final decision to sort of move away from the corporate world and actually start to investigate those aspects which I had in the back of my mind, but were increasingly coming to the fore of my mind. And really what triggered that, Harun, and this is just one point I want to take the opportunity to mention. The real trigger for me, although it took me a number of years to fully embrace and embody the experience, when I was in Kuwait, driving around the southern oil fields in particular, which of course were all alight at the time, having arrived in Kuwait with no reason to doubt the official explanation that it was the retreating Iraqi forces that had set the wells alight. When I was driving around southern Kuwait, it became very evident to me that the physical evidence did not indeed support the official version of events. And that physical evidence was basically the dead Iraqi troops surrounding the wells. And it looked very much to me as though the Iraqi troops had been defending the wells against obviously superior forces. And I actually made this observation when I was in the mess, having dinner one night at the headquarters of the Kuwaiti Oil Company in Ahmadi in Kuwait, because obviously I had expressed my concerns at the evidence, and it basically suggested to